Unfortunately, it's going to take a lot longer for robotic automation to take over the skilled labor and manual labor section of the economy than we probably want. Now, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm not happy with these numbers either, so let's get right into it. TLDR, we're probably going to see a kind of an annihilation of knowledge work as we know it today by around 2030. So the desk jobs go first, and that's primarily because of computer using agents, which basically follows what I call the KVM principle, which is keyboard, video, mouse. By 2030, we're going to hit a point of cognitive saturation or benchmark plateaus. Basically, all benchmarks will be saturated by 2030. Many of them already are, but even some of the newer benchmarks are probably going to be saturated. That means physics, math, biology, and everything else will be fully saturated by 2030. And then at the same time, we're going to have had a full cycle to deploy all those computer using agents. Now, 2030 is also about 7 years after ChatGPT took off, which is usually when corporate adoption also starts to saturate. Now, the long story short, and this is the bad part, these are the bad numbers, is that the manufacturing of humanoid robots will take 30 to 50 years to get to the point of full saturation. Basically, until there are enough humanoid robots that you and I never have, that nobody ever has to do jobs again. So that means electricians, plumbers, linemen, those sorts of things. But in the meantime, so that's the bad news. The good news is that means that trade skills are going to continue to be a thing for quite a while. So for all of you that have been saying my job as a plumber or electrician is safe, you're actually right for the foreseeable future, but it's not because robots won't be able to do the job. It's because we won't have enough robots to replace you. Now, the downside, though, is that as 2030 rolls around and more highly intelligent, highly skilled desk jockeys start to lose their job, they're going to be looking for jobs, which means every industry from auto mechanics to construction workers is going to be completely saturated by people that are desperate and looking for jobs. Now, not every desk jockey is going to say, well, I was, paid six figures as a developer. There's no chance in heck I'm going to take, accept $40,000 as a, janitor or whatever. However, that's the TLDR. So let's get into the details. First and foremost, you might say, Dave, okay, what are the bottlenecks? Like, I don't actually believe you. Why is it going to take that long to build a billion humanoid robots? And that's kind of the scale that we've set, because depending on how you run the numbers, you need anywhere between 400 million to 1.5 billion fully functional humanoid robots to replace all skilled labor globally. Now you might say, well, what if you constrain it to just America? We tried those experiments. We ran those numbers. It's not that much different, and it might actually be slower, because if America builds all of its own robots and we don't sell them to other people, or we don't buy them from other people. Anyways, we're just assuming that there's going to be a global humanoid robot market. The number one constraint is actuators. Now so actuators are like the muscles and servos and motors. The reason is because the vast majority of actuators are built with rare earth magnets. Even if you run the numbers and say, well, what if we can build these servos and actuators without rare earth magnets, where it's just coils, the way that Tesla motors do, then you accelerate it by a little bit, but you still need so many. And there's also a few problems that are not solved, because if you get rid of the rare earth magnets, the actuators are a little bit bigger, and they're also a little bit more energy intensive, meaning you need better batteries. So the actuators are the biggest constraint by far, followed by batteries and then also the sensors, all of which require rarer materials. Industrial scaling is the next biggest thing. So basically, we don't have the factory output to make that many. How Elon Musk is trying to scale up Tesla Gigafactory. Well, right now they're producing less than 10,000 Optimus robots per year. And we did run the numbers, and I'll show you in a second. Even if we 10x the global output of humanoid robots every 3 years, which is extremely aggressive, it'll still take to the 2040s to get there. So batteries, rare earths. We did also run some numbers for alternative materials, electropolymer-based muscles, as well as purely copper-based actuator constraints, really it's just going to take a long time to build a billion humanoid robots. For comparison, we only make 500,000 industrial robot arms globally today. So at that rate, even if you start scaling from 500,000, if we were to convert the entire capacity of our ability to make industrial robots, it's still going to take a long time to get to 1 billion robots. So here's the data. So right now it's at 2025. We're not really making any humanoid robots globally. And so then it starts to scale up. You've got, 10,000, and then it doubles and doubles and doubles. So the most realistic timeline, when you look at global supply and demand, when you look at all the different competing materials and everything, you're looking at doubling robotic production capacity every 3 years. Now that's still pretty aggressive. That's faster than we've doubled any other industrial scale up, from televisions to automobiles. Pretty much the only thing that was possibly faster was smartphones, but the bill of material for smartphones is much, much less than the bill of materials for a robot. So at that rate, you're looking at 2060 before we have 1 billion robots. Excuse me, before we have 1 billion robots globally. Which is a long darn time. Now, if you cut that down to an ultra aggressive doubling every 18 months, then you're still looking at almost 2050 before we get 1 billion robots. And if Elon Musk manages to pull through, and we're able to even if you can 10x every 3 years, you're still looking at the early 2040s before we cross 1 billion humanoid robots. Now, it does continue to scale up, meaning only a few years later, then we get to where everyone can have their own personal droid. But the more realistic scale is we're looking at closer to 2070 before everyone can have their personal robot. Now, you might say, Dave, you ran the numbers wrong. Like I said, I would love to be wrong. But anyways, let's get into the consequences, because even 10xing production every 3 years, I was like, wow, this is going to take a while. So let's go through this play by play, assuming that everything goes the way that I think that it's going to go. First and foremost, knowledge work collapses around 2030. So the primary reason for this is computer using agents. We already have computer using agents today. I know that a lot of you use Operator and that sort of stuff. They are basically one of the next things that you're going to see is where computer using agents have their own sandbox where they're running in their own VMs, so they don't have to run on your desktop. That would probably be the best form factor to use them in. That's how I'd run them in the data center anyways. I'd be like, okay, let's spin up a bunch of, Windows desktops, and you can have, 1,000 of them running side by side, each of them with their own instance of Operator running. You can probably get it to a pretty stripped down version of Windows as well, or Linux, or whatever you need. Anyways, computer using agents are digital native, meaning they can scale very, very, very quickly. You're not constrained by batteries or chips or anything else, because with the combination of virtualization and economies of scale in data centers, you can end up with a 1,000-person company with 10,000 computer using agents, all with an effective IQ of 130 to 160, running 24/7 by 2030. I mean, I think we all agree on that. And you'll probably saying, Dave, like, what happened to 2027 or 2028? What I'm talking about is commercially viable, deployed in the wild. We will have the capacity to run those computer using agents probably next year. But one of the facts that came up is that every time one of those makes a mistake, the expected cost. So this is what the businesses are looking at. I'm not saying I agree with this, but the expected cost per computer using agent mistake run by, I think it was Goldman Sachs, they said something like $400,000 to $1.5 million per significant mistake. So the Fortune 500 companies are going to wait till hallucination is down to below like 0.1% or 0.01%, or some of them might even wait till it's 100% accurate before fully adopting it. So this goes back to the KVM rule, keyboard, video, mouse. Basically, any work, any knowledge work, any service work that you can do entirely with a keyboard, a mouse, and a computer monitor will be 100% automated by 2030. Now, it'll take a while to adopt. I'm working on another video that will kind of explore, okay, assuming that we do saturate all the benchmarks by 2030 and we get to that point, then how long then does it take? So next is is the task complexity scaling. We've seen that with various reports where basically the length of tasks that AI can do is doubling every 7 months, but that looks like it has accelerated to every 4 months. So the task complexity and task intelligence or success rate across all tasks will be completely saturated by 2030 at the latest. This is still probably relatively conservative. Now, the 30 to 50 year saturation window for robotics. This is mostly going to be industrial scale up. We're going to have fully featured robotic foundation models by 2030. The robots will be more intelligent and more dexterous and more capable than you or I within the next 5 years, probably the next 3 to 4 years. 3 years is like 2028 is like the earliest that we're expecting robotic foundation models to reach a point of saturation, meaning they can do any task that a human can do at or above human level. But give it another 2 years to perfect the hardware and everything else. Again, we're using some fudge factor here, but all the numbers are pointing at all machine intelligence, including robotic intelligence, is solved by 2030. Then we have to scale up production. Now, one of the biggest things that I want to point out is, aside from the fact that human skilled labor is going to continue to be valuable for longer, despite the market being saturated with laid off desk jockeys, the next big thing is safety. A Terminator-style takeover is simply not possible due to economies of scale. Humans will outnumber robots for many, many years to come, which means if by some stretch of the imagination, 5 million humanoid robots go rogue, everyone and their brother picks up a gun because everyone in America has guns, and you take to the streets and you kill the robots, and the uprising is over. So from a safety perspective, this means that AI, AGI, ASI, it's going to be limited to the data center. Now you might say, well, there's a lot of damage it can do from the data center. That's true. But we've got a long time before all of this fully scales up until we reach the danger zone. Next is, so with all this in mind, I've always been talking about like the meaning economy and those sorts of jobs that are going to stick around. What this does is it actually tells us a few other kinds of jobs that are going to stick around for the next few decades. So number one, skilled trades: mechanics, electricians, welders, real world problem solvers. The reason is because humans, we're extremely energy efficient compared to these robots. Now, we can't work around the clock, but we require, our batteries are fully internal, and we only need a couple pounds of food a day. Those robots, they need battery swaps every 4 to 12 hours. And those batteries are not light. And so that means if you need to go out into the woods to do something, if you need to work on a job site that doesn't have power yet, humans, we're very, very portable, and our brain is very intelligent compared to what robots can do today. So we are going to be at a thermodynamic advantage over robots just in our intrinsic abilities, but then also just in sheer numbers for a while. Next is regulatory and statutory jobs. So these are what are called high accountability jobs. So basically, high accountability jobs are jobs where, for legal reasons, economic reasons, and other reasons, you need a human to sign off on it. You need a human in that role. In some cases, it's because the law does not even contemplate a non-human doing the job. In other cases, it's because you actually need a human to sign off on it. So for instance, for a doctor, you need a human to sign off on a prescription. You say, hey, I'm prescribing, this set of lab tests or this set of medicines. A human has to sign off on that, plain and simple. Doctors, lawyers, auditors, licensed professionals such as licensed engineers. This produces actually a very deep moat for the foreseeable future. And it might also be a permanent moat. I'm not going to rule out the possibility that we get to a point where it's like, actually, the AI is better at all this, so let's just get rid of, let's do that. If that happens, that's going to be like a regulatory act of God, basically. Next up is the authenticity and sentimental premium. So that's artists, performers, influencers, therapists, philosophers, priests, celebrities, actors, those sorts of things. We just will pay to have a human, right? Like, you will still pay to go to the movie theater to see human actors. There's going to be plenty of people that it's like, yeah, I know the movie is AI generated. I don't care. I want to see real actors. That's not changing. Next up is the high complexity negotiation and navigation. So these are the trust-based jobs. These are where it's like, I don't care what the machine says. The machine is probably right. I want a human that is in front of me that is accountable to this business relationship or this government relationship or that sort of thing. So things like diplomats, governance specialists, trust brokers. So a trust broker is something like an executive account manager, salesperson, or that sort of thing. So think of people that wear suits to meetings and stuff like that. High stakes negotiators. Those are the relationships and trust-based roles that humans will just probably prefer to have humans doing. And then finally, the elites. Doesn't really need repeating, especially to this audience, but the capitalists are going to be fine. So who cares? Moving on. Here's my final thoughts. The transition is going to be inevitable, but the timeline is longer and less turbulent than we think it's going to be. So number one is the knowledge work apocalypse starting around 2030. Well, it's starting now. It's going to pick up pace around 2030 when computer using agents and AGI and ASI saturate all benchmarks, which means that any knowledge work, you are at best a driver where you're just pointing it where to go, or you're managing a fleet of agents that are way smarter than you. Personally, I don't know if I'd find that fulfilling, although I do really enjoy using O3, and I can get a lot of work done with O3. So who knows? Maybe that's a preview. There will be cascading shocks. So knowledge work collapse followed by trades labor getting reshuffled and then saturated by people looking for jobs. Partial robotic automation will make it very visible. So, if you ever watch those shows like Downton Abbey where there are, gas cars around, but they're not a staple of the economy, you're going to see the robotic automation wave coming because it's like, oh, our company got our first robot. And it's like, great, this one robot does the work of like 12 employees, but we can only afford one, right? So you're going to see it kind of coming. And this is going to really speak to the urgency of things like post-labor economics. So county endowments, ESOPs, so that's employee stock option plans or whatever, dividends, negative income tax, those sorts of things. Those are going to be really critical. And it's actually good because we're going to see the need for that turning up over time. It's not going to hit us like an avalanche like we might have been afraid of. So yeah, with all that being said, thanks for watching to the end. I'm not going to bore you to death, but let me know what you think. Let me know if you question the methodology. Let me know if you come to different conclusions. I did run some other experiments with like, what if we have nuclear fusion and quantum computing and all that other fun stuff. Even still, just the high bar of the total number of robots that we need to build means that the very earliest is like 2036, and that's if we have an Apollo level program that says we need 1 billion robots as soon as possible. I don't think it's going to happen because, again, as AI starts dislocating desk jockey jobs, then you're going to have a glut of human workers. So I just don't see the economics working out. It's looking like 2041 to 2045 is the earliest that we're going to get to a saturation point of humanoid robots taking over the rest of all of our jobs. Thanks for watching. I wish I had better news.